Hello students, welcome to another module of biology. So in this video we will be learning about an important topic of transpiration. From your board perspective it holds a great relevance. So what is transpiration? Let us consider its definition. Students, transpiration is a biological process through which plant is going to lose excess of water in the form of water vapor from the aerial parts. Rather, I would say it is a biophysical process. Biophysical, well, the word bio means it is going to take place only in the living plants. The dead plants cannot do this process. And the word physical refers to the process of evaporation. Since the water is being absorbed by the roots through the root xylem, it then enters into the stem and further moves to the leaves, from where it is lost into the air by the process of evaporation. That's why it is a biophysical process. Right. Now, students, it's a great irony that while doing this particular process of absorption of water, the plants, they are going to absorb a lot of water, almost 98% of water. I'm going to repeat, almost 98% of the water is being lost in the form of transpiration, right? So hardly 2% of the water, this is the amount of water that the plants, they are going to use for the process of photosynthesis to make their food and for other growth activities. Now let us learn about the three important types of transpiration. So transpiration in our syllabus can be categorized into three important varieties. The first one being the cuticular transpiration. Well, you need to learn their location and function. If it is cuticular transpiration, what is cuticle? Cuticle is a waxy coating that is present on the upper epidermis. So please remember the exact location. Cuticle is a coating of wax which is present on the upper epidermis of the leaves. So cuticle's main function is not to carry out transpiration. Rather, it should prevent the loss of water from the leaves. Fine. But wherever we have a thin coating of cuticle, from there some water, it can always be lost in the form of water vapor, and this is called the cuticular transpiration. This is contributing minimum percentage, that is hardly 5% of the total, that is total water loss during transpiration will be occurring through the cuticles. Now coming up to the next one, that is the lenticular transpiration. So what are the lenticels? Well, lenticels, they are very thin minute openings which you will not find in all the plants. They are present only in the bark of the mature plants. Alright, so you will not find lenticels in very young plants like the rose or the other herbaceous plants. Now we can mark the opening over here. Students, this is the lenticel. Now again, lenticels, they are present in the woody stem. That means the mature stem. So you get the location. But what is their basic function? Their basic function is again the exchange of gases. That means oxygen needs to be taken in and carbon dioxide should be given out, as it is done during the process of respiration. But while doing so, plant can also lose a little amount of water in the form of water vapor. So you can see very close, the xylem vessels are there. Students, these are the xylem vessels. So they are going to lose some amount of water in the form of water vapor. And this loss of water is called lenticular transpiration. This accounts to almost 10% of the total transpiration that takes place through the plants. Now the third and the most important one, that is the stomatal transpiration. So what is the stomatal transpiration? The one that occurs through small minute pores that are present on the leaf. So these pores, they are called stomata. Where are stomata present? What is the exact location? You will find stomata on both upper and lower epidermis of a dicot plant, right? But the number of stomata is not going to be the same. Now a question is being asked, how are you going to recognize whether the leaf is dicot or monocot? So if a leaf is having reticulate venation, that means it is going to be a dicot leaf. So just remember reticulate venation. This is called a dorsiventral leaf. So this will be having more number of stomatas on the lower surface, that is the lower epidermis will be having more number of stomatas. How many stomatas? Well, you just draw a small little square of almost 1 centimeter square. So in this particular area, we can detect almost 1000 to 10,000 stomatas when we look under a microscope. So students, most of the water from the plants is transpired through the stomatal transpiration. So this is contributing maximum, right? So let us learn further about the structure of stomata now. Okay, these are the stomata that you will find in a dicot leaf. In the monocot leaf, the guard cells that are enclosing the stomata, they are not going to be bean shaped. When I say guard cells are bean shaped, you should notice one thing. The mistake which students make, they say that stomata are bean shaped. No students, stomata is this opening that is present in between the two guard cells. So clearly we can see these guard cells, they are bean shaped or kidney shaped. And these are the guard cells that we commonly find in a dicot plant. That means the leaf which is having a reticulate venation. So if you look into the grasses which are having isobilateral leaf, the monocot plants, you will be having this type of guard cells. Dumbbell shaped guard cells will be there. So they are a bit different. Now during the night time, in the very first diagram, we can see that during the night time, the stomatas are closed. So we can't see any opening in between. These guard cells, they have become flaccid in this case, right? Now why they are flaccid? Because they have lost all the water. Now let us first of all study about the daytime. Now during daytime, what is happening? The stomatas, they open up. Why do they open up? It is because for the process of photosynthesis, they actually need the exchange of gases. So carbon dioxide needs to come in. Now, we can see that guard cells, they are having plastids. They are the only epidermal cells having the plastids. Rest all epidermal cells would never do the function of photosynthesis, but guard cells do photosynthesis. Now, when they are doing photosynthesis, they will be making lot of sugars, and hence the solute concentration inside the cells is going to increase. So the cell from inside, it becomes hypertonic, whereas the outside medium of the subsidiary or the accessory cells, it is going to be hypotonic. Now we know that water always moves from hypotonic to hypertonic, and this causes the swelling of stomata. Now when the stomatas, they swell up, they actually create a space in between, and students, this space is called the stomata. Alright, so let us understand the exact mechanism of stomatal respiration. Now in this diagram, we can see the gross anatomy of a leaf, which is having the upper and the lower epidermis. Well, in between we have the leaf filling tissue, that is the packing tissue. The cells are mainly parenchyma. Now this parenchyma is divided into two regions. The upper region where the cells are tightly packed, we call them palisade parenchyma or palisade mesophyll. Mesophyll means, well, the word meso means middle and phyll means leaf. So the middle part of the leaf, that is mesophyll. The first region is made of tightly packed cells, and these are called the palisade mesophyll or the palisade parenchyma, whereas the lower cells, you can see they are loosely spaced. They are loosely packed and we call them the spongy parenchyma. Fine. Now let us move to the exact mechanism. Now students, once the water has entered from the stem into the leaf through the veins, so this xylem part is going to lose out the water in the form of water vapor, and this water enters into these small spaces. Now these are called the intercellular spaces. From these spaces, the water moves through the cell walls, and finally a little water can be escaped out through the cuticle, thereby showing cuticular transpiration, whereas the rest of the water keeps on moving from one cell wall to the other cell wall, from one intercellular space to the other one, and finally it reaches a large cavity. Now students, this air space, this is called the substomatal space. The substomatal space, because it is present just above the stomatas. Now very clearly you can see where are the stomatas. More number of stomatas, they are always present on the lower epidermis of the leaf. So this is the stomata, right? These are the two guard cells, and this space that is included in between, that is the stomata. So finally, when the water which is diffusing from its higher concentration to the lower concentration, slowly and slowly, it moves from the xylem to the intercellular spaces, and then it reaches into the substomatal space, and from here it is going to move out through the stoma into the air. So always in each and every step, the process of diffusion plays a great importance. Now in this particular slide, we are going to learn a very simple experiment. We have two surfaces of leaf. In the very first one, let us take it as A and this one as B. Now students, in case A, we have taken a glass slide, and just below the glass slide is a blue colored cobalt chloride paper. Cobalt chloride paper. Now remember, cobalt chloride paper, it is blue when it is dry, and when it becomes moist, it absorbs water, it turns into pink. Now we keep such paper, cobalt chloride paper, on both the surfaces of the plant and try to look after half an hour. So after half an hour, what do we see? On the upper epidermis, the color does not change, it still remains blue, whereas on the lower epidermis, the color turns into pink. So students, what does this denote? This denotes that the lower epidermis is having much higher number of stomata as compared to the upper epidermis. Now, the next topic is significance of transpiration, the importance of transpiration. Now students, the very first point, as we can all see here, is that transpiration, it brings cooling effect for the plants. See, the plants, they are upholding themselves in the daytime in the outermost sun every time. So during this time, the temperature of the leaves may increase, the leaves, they may burn, they may undergo the process of wilting. So wherever the evaporation takes place, evaporation causes cooling. So evaporation reduces the temperature of the leaf surface. Then the second one is transpiration helps in the ascent of sap. That means when the leaves, they have lost the water through the aerial parts, through their stomata, then the pressure is going to be generated over here inside the leaf. And students, this pressure is called suction pressure or the transpirational pull. Now this suction pressure actually plays a great importance. It maintains a continuous supply of water. It keeps on sucking the water from the bottom to the leaves against the action of gravity. So this suction force or suction pull, it creates a transpirational pull. So just remember, transpirational pull is always developed in the leaves, and this will be helping in the ascent of sap, right? Then the third and the most important point, if there is no transpiration, water cannot rise up, and this water is not alone coming up through the xylem. It brings a lot of mineral salts dissolved in it. So the proper distribution of water and mineral salts, it takes place through the xylem, but it can occur only when transpiration takes place. Well students, the last point is the most important one. According to the data, a large apple tree, it may lose almost about 30 liters of water per day. That means if we are very close to a forest area, that forest is going to surely make a large excretion of water, and that is going to lead to the formation of clouds. So we can say that transpiration increases moisture in the atmosphere, and this is going to bring rain. So this can be asked as a give reason type of question, why forests, they bring rain. So you should be able to write down that transpiration is the secret behind that, because the tree is going to lose 98% of its water in the form of transpiration. So once we have completed with the significance of transpiration, the next topic comes in our way, that is the guttation. Now students, we have often seen the leaves losing water in the form of water droplets. See, there are tiny water droplets which are present at the margin of the leaf or the tip of the leaf, but they are not water vapor. This is the basic difference. These are water droplets. So students, what is guttation? Guttation is the process of secretion of water droplets from the margins or the tip of leaf, not through stomata but through special pores called the hydathodes. So you need to remember that guttation takes place through special pores called the hydathodes. Fine. Second important difference between guttation and transpiration. Transpiration is going to lose water in the form of water vapors, whereas guttation is going to lose the water in the form of liquid water droplets. That is liquid. Now this liquid is not pure water. When the water is lost through transpiration, that is pure water in the form of water vapor. But students, this guttated liquid, it is an exudate. It is an exudate. It is going to release lot of potassium and sugars. So lot of solutes are present. It can be a combination of inorganic and organic compounds along with the water. Next important point, evaporation or transpiration occurs more on a dry day, on a hot day. But on the other hand, guttation will occur more in the humid environment, right? Now, what is the basic cause of guttation? Well, that is root pressure. Students, just remember, root pressure is the phenomena that is going to lead to the water loss of guttation. When does it take place? Transpiration takes place during the daytime, but guttation, on the contrary, occurs during midnight and early morning hours. Fine. Now, a question arises in our mind that is this exudate or the water loss through guttation the same as the dewdrops? Well, the answer is no. Dewdrop formation is a simple physical process. The water vapor that is present in the outside air. The water vapor that is present in the outside air, that water vapor starts condensing when it falls on the surface of leaf, and condensation causes cooling. So if we have a leaf and from outside the water vapor touches the leaf, so it is going to condense here, and this is called dewdrops. So in the dewdrops you will be having absolutely pure water. Fine. But the guttation is an exudation process which the plants are using to lose out their extra amount of water. When they are not able to do the process of photosynthesis, when their stomatas are closed, at that time root pressure becomes so high that the leaves start losing extra water through their leaf margins or the leaf tips, and that is occurring through special pores called the hydathodes. So these are the basic differences between guttation and transpiration. You can have a quick overlook. I've already discussed all these points. Now students, coming to the last slide, that is guttation and bleeding. So there is one more phenomena, that is bleeding. Now whenever a plant is broken, that means it undergoes a cut or an injury. Now in that particular case, the injured part of the plant, if we give a cut here, suppose it is a rubber tree, we need to collect all the rubber and the gum. We are going to hold a container over here and cut out this much portion of the plant. So the gums, they start coming out, or the rubber latex, it starts coming out. So this is the basic release, not from the xylem but from the phloem. So what is going to happen in bleeding? Some plant sap is going to come out which is having lot of sugars, gums, resins and latex, and this is the loss that is occurring through the phloem, not through the xylem. Right? It can occur at any time Just like guttation was occurring during the early morning or the late night hours, transpiration during the daytime, well students, bleeding occurs at any time due to the injuries. All plants that have been cut or injured, they can show the process of bleeding, whereas guttation cannot be found in the dry plants. It will occur only in the plants in the humid areas like the banana trees, like the strawberries, which have to consume a lot of moisture. So that's all. In this video, we will be closing up till this particular topic. Keep on revising and wait for the next video to come. Thank you so much.